What's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. That's right. It is hump day here.
Weird.
It is weird. We weren't with you yesterday. We are with you here today, and we will be with you tomorrow as well. Dangle Bet Celly live at FTN. Welcome in. Chris Meaney and Eric Young here with you at the Eric Young, myself at Chris Meaney on Twitter. You're watching live. Smash the like button. You're watching the replay. Smash the like button. You have any comments, any questions, leave them there in the comment section. Always circling back on these videos to help you guys out. And if you are listening on Instagram or watching on Instagram or anything like that, give us a follow. We really do appreciate that. Even though the season is winding down, we hope to tell the bosses that this show did well, that you guys liked it. You want it back for another year. So make sure you rate, review, subscribe, wherever it is that you listen to your favorite podcast. We are officially underway, dude. The Stanley Cup playoffs. Thoughts so far?
It's been wild. I think a lot of things are happening how we kind of thought. Obviously, last night, Colorado bouncing back in a big way.
Georgiev especially.
Georgiev bounced back in a big way, was an important part of that win. And, Hellebuck doesn't seem as invincible as everybody thought. So, we're going to find out, this is why they play the games. And that's an ancient but very true and very real quote. We talked off air a little bit. The Preds game was the boringest and greasiest win of all time. It felt like the Canucks basically had the for 35, 40 minutes through the second and third period. That's not an exaggeration. I watched every second of the game, and I was like, I don't understand. I do understand how they're doing it. They're keeping it to the perimeter. They have excellent defensive zone coverage. They're blocking a million shots. But you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire. Obviously, DeSmith backing up Demko there. I'm not sure what will happen with Demko, if he'll play, if he's out. But my opinion is if Demko can't play, then they'd be lucky to beat the Preds or anybody else, right?
Right.
DeSmith is not the answer. I think he proved that last night. Forsberg goal was unreal. No one stopping that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just. I can say it. You said it because you got no dog in the fight, but I can say it for sure. It was boring. It was really boring.
It's the least entertaining of the eight. I don't think there's really any question about that because the way that Carolina and the Islanders wrapped up game 2, and the Islanders have, especially in the first game, I thought that they deserved probably better. They played a really good game in the opener, and Carolina was really Carolina was all over them in game 2, and they came back, and that was really highly entertaining to see. I suppose if you're an Islanders fan, it wasn't. Jay Felicio in the house. How about those Canes? A big Carolina guy. I'm sure he was on the edge of his seat. 2 goals in 9 seconds to tie it and take the lead is spectacular. It doesn't get any better than that. Even the Rangers being up 2-0, the Capitals have had a pushback, especially yesterday in game 2. I thought that they started very, very strong. That series turned nasty. It is very, very physical. I thought the Panarin hit was okay. I thought it was a little bit of a headshot. I know Oshie had his head down, and it was just a bang bang play. They reviewed it for a little bit, but those two teams have history going back to Tom Wilson taking Panarin and throwing him around like a rag doll. So those guys go back quite a bit. So that's highly entertaining. Tampa and Florida is fantastic. How about Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky last night? I thought that game may have gone to 5 overtimes because these guys are making highlight reel save after highlight reel save.
Yeah, I literally jumped off my couch and screamed on the Bobrovsky save. I got really no dog in that fight. I called Florida.
Come on, we want Florida. We want Florida to go on a run here.
We do. But I just want every series other than the Pred series and the Toronto Maple Leaf series to be 7 games. Other than that, I don't really care. Because more hockey, the better. That's how I look at it. And the behind the back save is insane. The only reason he's got to make that save is because he's out of position, right? He's flopping around, but sometimes that's what's required, and he's battling and just trying his best to keep that puck out of his net, and he did it, and I think you see that save maybe 5 times a year, a save at that level, at its pinnacle and at its most important time. That series is rough and beautiful and amazing.
Yeah, it is. Adam Szymanski in the house. That might have been one of the best saves in NHL history. It certainly goes down as one of the better saves that I have seen in quite some time. I'm trying to
I
think of,
screamed.
is it Nabokov? Was it Nabokov the year that San Jose and Dallas, I think, played in the Western Conference Finals, and he made some ridiculous save on Sagan, I think, in double overtime where he came across with the glove. Go back and YouTube that one. I think that one ranks up there as well. Maybe I'm off my rockers. I haven't slept since the puck dropped on the Stanley Cup playoffs. So, but that one does stick in the back of my head a little bit. Yeah, it's been great. Adam Lowry's been fantastic. We talked about Adam Lowry, man. He's actually pretty much shut down Nathan McKinnon. You don't see McKinnon with like one or two shots at 5-5 too often. That's what has happened here over the first couple games of the series. I like to follow trends. I think the over, even though Hellebuck is a stud, the Avs obviously have a ton of offense, and the over is hitting both of those games. So a trend to keep an eye on. Of course, those two teams don't play tonight, so we're not going to really dive into that one. But going back home now, maybe Bednar can get McKinnon away from Adam Lowry just a little bit. I mean, he really is a true shutdown center. I agree with you. I think the Canucks are in trouble without Demko. We talked about their puck luck at the start of the season. I think the only team at 5-5 with a double-digit shooting percentage. Now, I still like their team. I still think that they're pretty deep, but look for them to make some changes, I think, because one thing that we thought heading into the playoffs is, are you serious with Pettersson's line mates here? Like they're not going to be able to compete in the playoffs against some of these juggernauts in the Western Conference when they have Lafferty and Mikheyev on their first line. And don't at me about that, because that is 100% a problem. So I don't know, man. Like maybe they put Garland up there. Maybe they put Elias Lindholm on the wing. I got to do something to generate some offense, because it's just not going to fly.
It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Andrew Brunette, when he coached in Florida, he openly said that he was out coached. I don't imagine he's going to allow that again. Something has to be changed there with their breakout. Like they just can't get the puck out of their zone. They're rimming around and there's nobody there. It looks like, me and my middle C boys, 11:30 at night, rec league hockey, trying to run around the border. There's nobody there. None of us know how to play hockey properly. Dude, it was sad. Like they just couldn't get it out of their end. And I would be terrified to look at what the zone time was, offensive zone time. There's no way Preds had half of the zone time that Vancouver had. It felt like they were on a power play for 2 periods. And how they didn't score is amazing. But I'd also say in the Preds' defense is they never have the puck in any dangerous position. They're not able to make any good passes because of active sticks and guys in the lanes. They blocked a ton of shots. Like it's a hard way to make $1 blocking shots that often. Right? You've been hit by a puck from guys that can't even shoot. Right? Like I play middle C, and like the puck hits you, and it's just absolutely crippling. And it might be moving at 30 miles an hour.
Imagine those guys. Speaking of that, I haven't heard anything about Sam Bennett, but for all of us that have Florida futures, I don't want to speculate, but it looked like maybe he broke his hand. If he did break his hand, again, I don't know. It could be a 4 to 6 week thing. We've seen Kadri come back that year. The Avs won the Stanley Cup. He wasn't super effective, but he came back after what seemed like 9 to 14 days. So maybe if the Panthers can get to the third round, we see him again. Maybe the first round is extended, but that's a big, big loss because he was awesome in the first 2 games and in the first period of yesterday's game as well with a goal and an assist. It is a big loss. Florida's super deep. I think they can handle it for the first maybe little bit, but they're going to need Sam Bennett to really go on a run. But yeah, we like to attack overs here, and I think I'd shy away from that Nashville and Vancouver shot prop over game because not a lot is happening, but continue to hammer some of the things that we've been hammering, like the Yossi and Forsberg, the Nyquist point again. That top line has been really good. Evangelista didn't work out for me yesterday, but heading into that game, he had like 25 shots over a 5 or 6 game span. So he's been pretty solid as well. And in game 1, he led all Preds forwards in shots and shot attempts at 5-5 and expected goals as well. So somebody to keep an eye on as the series shifts to Smashville. Brian Boucher's save against Patrick Elias. I do remember that in 2000. I remember Brian Boucher and all the multiple goalies that the Flyers had in that run that they lost to the Hawks in the finals and beat the Habs in the third round. I thought when Montreal was playing Philly in the third round after getting by Washington and Pittsburgh, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna make quick work of the Flyers, but no chance, no dice. Welcome in, guys. Let's get after today. Pick's been pretty solid over at ftnfantasy.com. Really happy with the start here in terms of sides and hitting some ladders, which we'll talk about today, and some shot props, and pretty happy with the start. Hopefully we can keep things going. If you're looking for all of the picks, everything, you guys know it's over at ftnfantasy.com/pricing. We have everything on one site right now, VIP status if you want some bets and fantasy action and DFS, the NFL drafts tomorrow. We got you covered across all sports, including some draft props over at ftnfantasy.com. Okay, so let's get after it. Let's start here with the Leafs. My favorite plays are actually in the Edmonton and LA game. I'm going to go back to in a lot of them, and it seems like the chat is interested in that game as well. But let's start here with the Leafs and the Boston Bruins. Of course, the series is all knotted up at 1 apiece. I'll start here first and just my takeaways from it. Well, we'll give some odds here before we get going. Okay, so we have Toronto. You see on the board, Toronto at home, series shifts. They are slight favorites here today. Use the prop shop and the parlay calculator over at ftnfantasy.com. You see prop shop right up at the very top. It's like Google search. You see some new people here watching the show. This tool will be your favorite tool. It saves you a lot of time and a lot of cash. You get the best possible number. To back the Leafs at the best possible number, -110 over at Caesars. The Boston Bruins -104 over at FanDuel. We have a total here at 6. The over 6 is +100. The over 5.5 is -128 over at FanDuel, but you can get over 6 at Caesars at +100 there. But I would take the 5.5 if you want the over. And I do think we'll see some offense in this game tonight. I know Samsonov bounced back. I thought he had a pretty solid game too. Interesting, the Bruins are doing this, going goalie for goalie. I don't know, man. Like, this isn't the 70s with Cheevers and whoever the hell rotated with him, but Boston's done it all year long. I think I saw in the graphic in game 2, 42 consecutive games they have done this, or at least 42 times in the season. I thought if there was going to be a team that did it, it would be Carolina, because Anderson came back from the injury and never played back-to-back games for Carolina. So I thought that they would just rotate there, but I would expect to see Swayman tonight. I don't know your thoughts, but I don't like it. If I was a team, a player, I wouldn't like it. I'm like so superstitious too that I just feel like, hey, we won 5-1 on home ice. Swayman was great. We're going back to Swayman for game 2. Like, why are we switching this up? And I know that Allmark was really good in game 2, and he wasn't the reason that they lost. He made some really good saves, but I just find it strange. But this is the new NHL, I suppose, and I guess we'll see Swayman tonight. My thoughts in the series so far is that the Leafs have looked like the much better team at 5-5. They didn't.
I agree with that.
Yeah, game 1 was probably lost on special teams. The penalty kill has been awful all year. It was awful in game 1. They let in a couple power play goals. They didn't score any power play goals, but for the most part, they've been the better team at 5-5.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to be a pretty even season. Boston has been good, and look at they're kryptonite. I mean, what's the stat is they haven't beat them in a playoff series since like 1958. Or some god awful number like that. I mean, it's
in the 50s.
That has nothing to do. Like, most of the players of the teams weren't even alive, but none of them were alive. If we're being honest, none of them were alive. Some of the coaches weren't alive, and the truth is this is an all new team and an all new series. I mean, some of the same players, but the reality is it's a different time. Back to the goalie thing. I think just last year, what happened. He said, no, we rotated all year, but in the playoffs, we're going with our guy, Allmark. And then they got beat. So now he's like, well, I mean, I'll just do what we did during the regular season. And it's strange, it's strange. I would say probably if Swayman wins tonight and then Allmark loses game 4, I bet you don't see Allmark again. That would be what I'd be willing to bet.
Same. I'm with you on that one.
But we'll see how long he sticks to this. I mean, both goalies are good. Both of their records are negligible, right? I mean, if that's what you're looking at, they could be doing the same thing in Florida or the same thing in Winnipeg, where both goalies, I think Stolarz actually has a better save percentage than Bobrovsky. I think Brossois' save percentage is a little bit higher, but he doesn't have as many wins as Hellebuck because he obviously doesn't play as much. So, I mean, you can make the argument for it in other places. Just Boston is the only place that is doing it. And I believe it just stems from last year. I mean, he got a lot of heat by waiting, and then finally playing Swayman when the weight of the world was on his shoulders, and he lost that game. But yeah, I mean, the series has been great. It's been really good. They're obviously, you know what they're going to do. Every time Matthews touches the puck, they're on him. They're bumping him. They're pushing him. They're hitting him, and you're seeing that across the board for star players. So we're going to find out and see, what this team is made of, man. But it does feel like a different Leafs team. And like you said, 5-on-5, they've been the better team.
Yeah, they have. Just looking at some of the numbers from Natural Stat Trick, 2 games here at 5-5. The Leafs have 103 shot attempts to 73 for Boston. They have 53 shots, and the Bruins have 37. The goals are even at 3-3, but the expected goals, like 5.22 for Toronto and 3.89 for Boston. The scoring chance is heavily favored by the Leafs. It's not even close. It's 59-27. 59 scoring chances at 5-5. And just 27 for the Boston Bruins. The high danger chances are 25-13, and they have 3 goals inside the slot to Boston's 3 goals. So yeah, they have been the better team at 5-5, and that's just not from game 2. Is game 1 they were actually better. Game 2 was a little bit more even at 5-5, but game 1 was significantly in terms of just the numbers, apart from winning the hockey game, which is all that matters. But Toronto did have a very, very strong game 1. So there's a couple things that I'm looking at here in this game. And I agree, and the chat seems to agree as well. Matt H in the house. I would assume it's Swayman the rest of the way, right? If they win today, Boston and Swayman is strong. There's no reason to go back to Linus Ullmark, right? I think you're just asking for it. Hags is in the house, says came for the pick, not the gun show, but can we give him a gun show anyways? Well, there it is. Look at the EY there.
I usually have a hockey jersey, but it's too hot, and I couldn't decide what tank top, so I'm just wearing my gym shirts. Sorry, everybody. I like to at least look like I'm part of the hockey community, but I got to go straight to the gym after this.
Shemansky says faded Boston all year and will continue to. Leafs are the better team and haven't even had Nylander. So I've been hit or miss. Like, I agree with you in terms of fading Boston. Some of the same issues that I think we both have about being super deep down the middle or lack thereof without Krejci and Bergeron. Love Coyle and love Zaka, but I think it will catch up to them a little bit. Did pick the Leafs in 6, but told the subs at FTN, like the minute that the Nylander news kind of popped up, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't think I'm feeling the Leafs to get this done without Nylander, but they've been the better team through the first 2 games without Nylander. Can you talk to me about what is going on with William Nylander? Like, what is happening here? Like, is he actually hurt? He's got to be hurt. I mean, it wouldn't be a scratch. I could see maybe scratching him game 1 if he didn't like his attitude and the way that he finished out the regular season. Maybe it's just 1 game, but it can't be 2. And he skated before game 2. He's never been hurt with an injury.
The only player to play all 82 for the Leafs. The only one. So, I mean, to me, it's got to be an injury.
Injury is what they're saying.
You could be mad, at the player, but you're not sitting him in the playoffs, no matter how mad you are. He makes too much
99
money.
points, 40 goals.
He's too important to this team. You can say you didn't like his effort in this, that, and the other, and maybe, move him down to the 3rd line, but you're playing William Nylander. He is an important piece to this thing. Obviously, back injuries can be tricky. Him taking warm-up is seen, right? And maybe if I warm it up, I can go. And he warmed it up, and back out he came. So as a Maple Leafs fan, I'm very proud of that they're in this position because like his effort, I mean, he's one of the most polarizing guys in the NHL. Some people love him. Some people hate him. I think the hate is undue and unjust. I mean, he's an amazing player, like a 1-man breakout. Just you get the puck on his stick and it's in the offensive zone and they're set up doing something good with it. And that is a skill that, I mean, there might be 25 players in the whole league that can do that at will. Think about that. 25. it could be even fewer than that. That's why you see guys dumping and chasing and, like doing things like that, because just being able to carry the puck in, turn back or turn into the wall and stop, protect the puck and wait for your guys to get set up. It's just an invaluable offensive tool. He's one of the best in the league at doing it. And when he gets healthy, he will be back in the league. I 100% believe it's an injury. And just like every other team, they're not telling you. They're not telling you what it is, because they don't want him to get abused.
Yeah, it'd be the fact that he didn't play game 2 is telling that it is an injury. To your point, this guy is way too valuable. Okay, so for some picks for tonight, I'll start with a couple. I know you got some goal scorers here, so I'll go back to a couple guys that I feel like check some boxes, like Pavel Zacha minus 125 for a point, right? You guys listen all year long. You know that I'm going to come with Pavel Zacha for a point. Game 1, he didn't hit a point. He didn't get a point. He hit a post. He had a nice pass over to Heinen, who hit the post as well. So I like Zacha, right? I find it a little strange too that Pasta is off the top power play. I don't watch on Rogers, but I hear like my Leafs fans say that the number 1 power play is with Pasta, and I would agree it would be. But the other one is clicking with DeBrusk, Charlie McAvoy, and Marchand. It's weird that they're not together on the power play. And I know that they were at the end of game 2 trying to generate some offense. I don't know how long that Montgomery can do that, to be honest with you. Like, you're going to want to put your guys together. It worked in game 1. I think we'll see them all together again moving forward. But Pasta is still playing with Zacha at 5-5 and on the power play. So minus 125 for a point. Marchand at minus 145 for a point. It's a little bit juicy. I'm surprised we're getting this. He's got points in the first 2 games of the series. Him and Jake DeBrusk have been great together. Some really nice chemistry there. So DeBrusk is plus 110 for a point. I'm not seeing anything on Max Domi. I definitely want to bet Max Domi for a point. He's been great, especially in game 2. He bounced back. And before the puck drop, Marchand got under his skin. That's what he does. The puck hadn't even dropped, and Domi was already slashing this guy and cross-checking him in the back of the head. And Keith had some words for him, but Domi needs to play on the edge. That's how he plays. So he's going to take stupid penalties here and there, but it's good and it's bad. It's bad in game 1, it's good in game 2. But certainly there's some chemistry there between him and Austin Matthews. So if you can find him for a point, I dig it. Matthews has 22 shot attempts in the 2 games. 22. He's got 13 shots at 5-5. He has 17 shot attempts and 11 shots. He is a little bit juiced for 5 shots tonight at minus 150 at Bet Rivers, but I'm taking it. At home, he can get away from some of the tougher matchups. So these are some of the things that we'll be discussing throughout series and matchups and how things change. McKinnon, maybe you fade him on the road with Lowry, maybe at home he's McKinnon. You could double shift him. You can get him away from Lowry a little bit. Same sort of deal here with Matthews, maybe getting away from McAvoy and company. So Matthews, 5 shots, minus 150. Pavel Zacha, a point at minus 125. Brad Marchand, a point at minus 145. Jake DeBrusk, a point at plus 110. Look for Domi. And I like Tyler Bertuzzi as well as a little bit of a long shot at plus money, plus 110 for him to have 3 shots tonight as well. So that line has been clicking a little bit. They were pretty quiet in game 1. What I will say about Bertuzzi is he only has the 4 shots at 5-5. He's got the 10 shot attempts. But just the fact that Matthews generates so much, and most of the shifts for Matthews have been in the offensive zone. I think it's pretty interesting to get on board with him. So 13 shot attempts altogether at all strengths for Bertuzzi is 3rd on the team, and his 7 shots 3rd as well behind Tavares. Now, all of this may change a little bit when William Nylander comes back, but for the most part, I would assume again that he's playing 5-5 with him. So. The group seems to be on it. Plus 125 is even better for Matt H saying Tyler Bertuzzi. I think the long shot in this game. Who you got for goal scorers?
Just to back up that stuff with Bertuzzi, we had heard about how good of a playoff guy this guy was in junior and in college, but he played for the Red Wings, right? Then he went to Boston, and he was maybe, if not their best player.
Mm-hmm.
Most consistent
in round player. 1 he was really good.
Last year and this year you're seeing it all over again. He definitely, his play got better. He was very snake bitten as far as goals, but was kind of always around it. If you watch the games, he's touching the puck a ton. He's making things happen. He's holding the puck. He's selling the puck. He's doing things that are important to all hockey teams. And in both the first 2 games, Bertuzzi was all over the place, right? He's every time he's on the ice, it seemed like he was doing something positive. So I think he's going to get those goals to come. Scorers, I'm going Pasta at 105, and you had touched on it earlier with the rates. Marchand looks like a completely different player.
Oh,
in the playoff.
He did
and
this.
He's flipped the switch. He flipped it. And if you're not noticing that, there's money to be made here. He's plus 260 to score a goal. Now, I know that goal scoring is difficult. That's what I do here. If you're going to bet on one person to score a goal tonight, it's Brad Marchand at plus 260. On the Toronto side, I'm going Matthews because he's everything. He looks like playoff Austin Matthews shooting the puck. He knows it's up to him. He's going to carry the offense for this team no matter what. He's playing tough. He's getting knocked around. He's not falling into it. He's a superstar. He knows it, and he's starting to play like one in the playoffs. And I'm also going to go with Marner. He's also, I think he's a plus 220. That's another guy that it looks like he's flipped the switch. Everything positive happening. Hasn't got one to go yet, but he's those odds are excellent.
Yeah, they are excellent. I was actually looking at Marner for an assist at minus 145. I think is pretty. I know it's a little bit juicy for an Apple, but even plus 105. Yeah, you mentioned Marchand, and I liked his comments. I think the Bruins bring it tonight. I actually leaned with Boston to win this game. It's funny, Hags comes in and says, I'm not sold on the Leafs tonight. This is just the stop. Everyone hops on the Leafs, and then they pull off a brutal performance. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. They have been the better team, but the fact that we haven't seen Boston's best game yet, I think we do see that pushback and maybe their best performance tonight. Pass has been very, very quiet. I know he scored the goal on a beautiful setup from Zaka, but other than that, he's been extremely quiet. So I think, he's a guy that wakes up a little bit tonight as well. Should be great. I mean, I expect it to go 7. That's typically what we see between these two teams, back and forth. But Marchand's comments, kind of like what we're saying here on this show today about the Leafs. He said that this is a very different team. This isn't the Leafs that they played the past couple of seasons. They're physical. They're built different. They're not backing down. They're finishing checks. They're playing hard. And he gave a lot of love to Austin Matthews, and that was a beautiful goal that he scored in game 2, the eventual winner. Just again for Marchand, he leads this team at 5-5 in shot attempts with 9 and shots with 6. Do you know how many shots Pasta has at 5-5 through 2 games of this series?
Not many.
2.
Yeah.
2 on 7 attempts.
Kucherov
look for him to wake up.
Sleep at the wheel too. He looks frustrated. I know I'm not talking.
Oh man, you could just easily get Kucherov off his game. That's one thing I noticed about Kucherov, man. You give him a cross check in the back. Yesterday he took so many shots after the whistle to Ekblad and other guys. He gets thrown off his game very, very easily. But
he was off it yesterday. I mean, he was almost invisible, which you probably haven't been able to say that all year. He's a wizard. No. He might be the best player offensively in the league, and he barely did anything.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where we're at for that game. And I got a slight lean to Boston, but it's all about the props for me, guys. Matthews 5, Zaka point, Marchand point, DeBrusque point. We'll take a look at Domi to see what happens there moving forward. Let's hop on over to Edmonton and LA. This is really my favorite game on the board tonight. And this is one that worked out fairly well for us. In game 1, we did a lot of fun little things in this game, including shot ladders and things like that. But we'll just start here with the game itself. The odds, Edmonton, pretty big favorites here at minus 184 if you want to back them at FanDuel. They were minus 166 for game 1. The Kings check in at plus 160 over at DraftKings, and we have a total here of 6, which is very, very surprising. You can get over 5.5 at minus 140 juiced. I don't think we'll see 11 goals in every game, but one thing that we talked about with LA, you look overall at the team, they allowed the 3rd fewest goals in the NHL, but you and I were not buying this. They have great special teams. Their penalty kill is great. Cam Talbot played over his head in the first half of the season. He's looked very, very average since the All-Star break. I know he kind of got his footing again over a 2 to 3 week span because I remember seeing him on the waiver. I'm like, I'll take a shot in fantasy hockey, and it was some nice moments. But ultimately, this isn't all on him. McDavid picked up 5 points in the opener. These guys are just psychos. Hyman's had a career year. He continued with a hat trick. There's just so much, I think, to like in this game. I will start with one of my favorite plays. No, Felicio's in here. We're going to clip this for the TikTok crew here. It is Adrian Kempe over 2.5 shots at -140 at Bet365. And I want to ladder this. But first, we'll get into what he's done against the Edmonton Oilers over I would say the last 11 games of his career, basically, with Edmonton. This is dating back to the playoffs. So in the 4 games against the Oilers this season, he had 4+ shots in all 4. He averaged 4.75. He had 4, 7, 4, and 4. In the 6-game series against the Oilers last season, of course, these teams are meeting again for the 3rd straight year in the opening round. He averaged 5.1 shots per game in that series. 7, 4, 3, 5, 4, and 8. You can go back to 2021 when these two teams played in the opening round. He had 4.7 shots per game in that 7-game series. 3, 3, 9, 3, 4, 5, and 6. This guy's had at least 3 shots in 11 straight games against the Edmonton Oilers, and he's averaged well over 4 over his last 20 against the Edmonton Oilers. And I know things have changed a little bit in terms of personnel, but he loves to shoot the puck, and he had 5 shots in game 1, and we laddered him all the way up to we had 2 units on the 3 shots, 1 on the 4 shots at +200, 0.75 on the 5 shots at +425, and we went up the ladder up to 7, didn't get it, but I want to do the same thing tonight. So 3 shots -142 units, 4 shots +181 unit, 5 shots +400, 0.75 units, 6 shots +750 at 0.5 units, and then 7 did I just say that? Did I write that? 7 shots 12-1. So 4 shots +180, 5 shots +400, 6 shots +750, 7 shots 12-1. We laddered that up. We've talked about that a couple times in the show, Eric. As you go up the ladder in terms of shots, your wager gets a little bit smaller. I think we'll see a pushback from LA, but I'm on the Kings to continue to roll, or Edmonton to continue to roll here. Sorry, Jay, I was kind of all over the place. Good luck editing that for the TikTok crew, but I like Adrian Kempe today. This is a guy that's a lot of shot volume there, and I'm going to throw to you because there's a couple other things that I think we can do with this game and have some fun with it, because unlike Nashville and Vancouver, we're going to see offense all series long, and we're going to see a lot of shots from a lot of these players.
Yeah, to score, I like Kempe and Arvidsson. Arvidsson looked good. I can tell you when he played in Nashville, always a good player. Then the playoffs would come alive, and he would find this other gear, would look like all of a sudden he can skate better and he can shoot better. I mean, he's just one of those guys. He flips the switch. He's at +260, so I really like him tonight. And then, the usual suspect in Edmonton, McDavid and Draisaitl centering their own lines and playing together on the power play. Yes, please. And they're both plus. McDavid is +135 to score. Like, who says no to that?
He's -125 for 2 points tonight. I put it in last night as a 2-unit play. We had it in game 1, -110. He should be, and this will go away, but he should be -150 for 2 points. He just had 5 assists. And when these two teams played last year in the playoffs, he ate them up as well. He was all over them. In the 4 games against LA this year, he had 7 points. He had 2 goals. He had the 5 points in the 2 home games, right? He gets those matchups. He's at home again. It's the last change get away from Phillip Danault, who, by the way, Phillip Danault and Arvidsson, those guys were -3 in the first 10, 15 minutes of that hockey game. And you just look overall at his last 17 games, McDavid has at least 2 points in 13 of his last 17 games. So the fact we're getting plus money on him is crazy. And the fact that we're getting -125 for a 2-point night, I also think is pretty crazy. And I know asking for 2 points is tough at -125, but he's a different beast. So yeah, I like the call, man. Like why not?
That's how I feel that. I think this was going to be a good game. I'm not going to say LA is going to win.
But it'll be a little tighter tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tighter tonight.
Hyman was -150 for a point in game 1. He's -175 for a point. It's really, really juicy. But maybe if you're a parlay player, you're looking for somebody to add into a parlay with a point. Maybe you do Marchand and you do Hyman. Like, I'd start there. We'll have another one here for the 3rd game tonight. But so we'll do the Adrian Kempe shot prop ladder, and I think we should do the same thing with Zach Hyman who had 9 shots in the opener. We can go Zach Hyman, 4 shots plus 100. You just maybe just do the unit because it's the 4 shots. I did the 2 units because it's the 3 shots for campaign. We have a extremely large sample size of him having 3+ shots against Edmonton. So 4 shots at plus 100 for Zach Hyman. 5 shots is plus 240. 6 shots is plus 500. 7 shots, 8-1. 8 shots, 12-1. So again, as you move up the ladder, your wagers get a little bit smaller. Taking a look at the shots and shot attempts in this game from Natural Stat Trick at 5-on-5, Evander Kane had 9. Zach Hyman had 9. They each had 6. I like Kane again tonight. At all strengths, Zach Hyman led the team with 12 shot attempts and 9 shots. Kane, again, just the 6 shots and 9 attempts. I know it really is. Bouchard had 8 attempts as well. On the LA side, again, a lot of shot attempts from these guys. Kempe had the 6 at 5-on-5 with 4 shots. Trevor Lewis had the 6. Actually, forget Trevor Lewis. Victor Arvidsson had the 6 attempts and 3 shots there. And then at all strengths, Kempe led the way with 8 attempts and 5 shots, and Fiala had 8 attempts and 3 shots. So I don't know if anybody saw what I tweeted. I was 1 shot away from $4,000 for Victor Arvidsson. I think it was like $5 bet. I want to do the same thing tonight. I'm going to have some of these in the tracker and also at in our Discord. This is what worked for me. It was 110-1. A $10 bet won $1,100. It was Kempe 5 shots, Hyman 4 shots, McDavid 3 shots, Arvidsson 3 shots, Fiala 3, Bouchard 3, and Draisaitl 3. Now, I'll probably put in a couple different variations. Kempe and Hyman will be my biggest guys at 4 and 5, and then I'll move down. I like Kane. I like Arvidsson. I like Fiala, Bouchard, Fogle, Shoutout, Draisaitl. I'd maybe shy away from McDavid over 3, like 2 and 3, because he does like to pass it. But the reason I want to bring this up to you guys is because a couple things. It's important to do this over at Bet365 if you can. There's some books like FanDuel that will only count the shots if they're in regulation. So if this game were to go to double overtime tonight and everybody gets like 5+ shots, it's not going to work out for you. But at Bet365, you know that we're going to get a game with like 2 or 3 overtimes throughout these playoffs. It's going to happen. And if you hit one of these, that's it. You don't need to hit anything else throughout the playoffs. You hit one of these, you turn $10 into $1,100. You turn $5 into $500. That's it. It's a good bankroll for you. You can have some fun the rest of the way. So don't get too crazy with it. But what I've noticed from game 1 is there's a lot of shot attempts across the board, all over the place. Have some fun with maybe everyone for 3, 4, 5, move up that way. It's like shot prop ladder parlays. And Bet365 may take this away from us. But once we get an overtime that goes pretty lengthy, we could maybe hit one of these and move on. So there's a lot of different guys here. I'll move on from this game, but Hyman plus 110 for 4 shots as a solo bet. Kempe, I think Evander Kane. I agree. The juice here on Arvidsson, but Evander Kane is plus 105 for 3 shots. Right, he was second on the team in shots and shot attempts in that game, and then Victor Arvidsson is minus 143. So there's not a ton of juice at minus 143. So we will move on from that game, but there's really a lot here that I like from it. We also have a little bit of breaking news from the chat, so we do appreciate this. This is interesting. No Austin Matthews at the morning skate, something to monitor. Austin, everyone caps locked, everyone freaking out. Austin not at the morning skate. Maybe it's just a maintenance thing. You know, he's been battling through some things. We'll see. And Willie is skating on the 3rd line at practice here. So that's a really good sign that he will probably return tonight, because I know he wasn't skating on any lines. He was just kind of like an extra with the healthy scratches. So we could see the return of, imagine Willie comes back and Matthews can't play. Man, that would be, I don't know how you Leaf fans do it, man. Because
don't put that darkness on us.
I don't know how you guys just deal with the franchise and the highs and lows of Toronto. I don't know how you guys do it.
But think about this. Think about when they do win.
Stop it.
Think about the end of this year when they raise the Stanley Cup.
I'll end the
Think about the reward.
Vegas and Dallas, these are two teams that actually could raise the Stanley Cup. We did see Vegas raise it last year, and
might do it again this year.
They just may. I'm not gonna lie, we're on
Mark
Dallas
Stone
on this show.
Best.
Like, you couldn't write up a better script, and I know that it just pisses everybody off. He scores a minute in, and everyone's just freaking out. There's loose hockey fans that are like, "Wait, what do you mean that Vegas has a salary cap over 90 million? What do you mean that Mark Stone had a lacerated spleen like 4 days ago?" It's like, well, it happened in February, but what do you mean that he's back and he's healthy? And I listened to the broadcast, and they're talking about Bruce Cassidy saying that, you know, they'll limit Stone's minutes and he may not play in all situations. It's like, stop it. This guy has a gym in his basement. He's been training for the past few weeks. He's been ready for this. He scored on his first shift on the power play. He's killing penalties. He's out on the ice blocking shots in the final minute of the game with the goalie pulled. He's just a beast is what he is, man. He played with a broken hand last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. The NHL will eventually change the rule, but this has been going on for a few years. Tampa won back-to-back.
These are rules. They're not breaking the rules.
No.
You know what I mean? They're just not. Chicago did this, you know, what a decade ago, and then people were like, well, we can just do that, and we'll just sit this $9 million player, then we'll just buy all these other players, and then he'll just come back in the playoffs, and we'll just be $90 million over the salary cap, and somehow that's fair. It's not.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, as a guy who's on Dallas on this show, and I know a lot of FTN people are, this stinks. This matchup is not good. Like, I thought they outplayed Vegas in that game. There was we both a couple. And
I think we called Dallas to win this series, and if I could change it, I would change it now. It's not happening. Vegas is too good.
They're too good. Even Dallas, though, I still think it's going to go the distance 7. Dallas needs this game tonight, even though they led the NHL in road wins. I think they were number 1 or tied for number 1. They need this game tonight on home.
That first goal went in, and Ottinger looked like a birthday balloon being deflated in his body. Like, his body, you could literally see it. Just like,
I know. He let in a couple softies.
As soon as the first goal went in, he was finished.
Yeah, he can't let in these softies. I know Logan Thompson let one in too, but I thought Dallas played a pretty good game. Like, I know that Vegas got up early, and maybe that was part of sitting back a little bit.
They're just not far enough over the salary cap. They don't have enough.
For those that are on Dallas, it's important, I think, to hedge. You could have got 13-1 before the puck dropped in this series. It's now 10-1, 8-1 in some spots. I think whoever comes out of this series, and no disrespect to Winnipeg and Colorado, but I think these two teams are built differently than those two squads. And we could see some sort of Western Conference matchup with your Preds or the Edmonton Oilers. But I think whoever finds a way to come out of here is a legitimate Stanley Cup. I mean, they both are contenders, obviously, but the odds will turn into like 5-1 or something like that. So if you are on Vegas, it's tough to repeat, but we have seen it recently with the Bolts. So, it's, man, anyways, tough go for the Stars. There's a couple things I like in this game. I'll throw over to you first.
Yeah, I'm going to go Eichel is plus 200. Jack Eichel is still a superstar player. You know, he hasn't scored yet, but it's only been one game. Plays all the important minutes at center. He's the man. Crazy skater, crazy shooter, crazy hockey player. Plus 200. Yes, please. Even more insane to me is Tom Turtle. He's plus 330 to score. He's been all over the puck.
Point too.
He looks like a complete savage because he is.
Yeah.
And I think people are forgetting because he's played on just a bastardized hockey team in the San Jose Sharks for the last 4 or 5 years, right? Like, they haven't been a hockey team in half a decade, and that's where he's played. And then all of a sudden, he's playing with good players and players that are playing for something, and in a complete, maybe the most complete team in the NHL. Plus 330. Dallas side, Robertson's got one so far, and sometimes when guys like that score, they keep feeling it. He's plus 185, so I'm going back to him. And Jamie Benn is angry, and
man, he looks actually
Ben
awesome.
Gets angry. Things happen. This is one of his best statistical years in almost a decade, and he's plus 280. So I love it. And I actually I'm not going to do the 8-way parlay because there's not enough games, but something fun for everybody. Again, I'm not saying to do this, but I'm telling you what I'm doing. I'm going at the maniac bet of the night is Marchand, Hurdle, Ben, and Arvidsson all to score. $5 gives us $1,038.
Whew.
I made it.
Nice.
It's already locked in.
Let's go. My favorite shot prop from this game, maybe Jamie Benn. I mean, I do like Jonathan Marchessault too. I'm going back what we had in game one with Jonathan Marchessault for a point at -125 tonight. DraftKings, same price. Marchessault 3 shots -140. DraftKings a little bit juicier, but Jamie Benn, man, he's playing like the captain, right? He's throwing his body around. He's looking like Jamie Benn prime. He led the Dallas Stars with 7 shot attempts and 4 shots at 5-5 in game one. And
he had all over the place.
He had 13 shot attempts in all situations and 7 shots. Nobody else had more than 3 in the game. And you could guess who was second on the team in shot attempts. There's our guy Wyatt Johnson with 8, but he only put 1 on net. But you can get Jamie Benn tonight for plus 120 for 3 shots. He's on that first power play. It is a mismatch that's what I like so much about Dallas. And I know that Vegas can go toe to toe them with lines because they have William Karlsson on their third line, and that's a really good player. For all year long, that third line for Dallas with Ben and Wyatt Johnson have just run over most teams' third lines. But he's still getting a ton of opportunities. He did get a ton of opportunities in game one. And he does park himself right in front of the net on the power play with a couple deflections and things like that. So Jamie Benn tonight, -115 for a point, plus 120 for 3 shots. Marchessault -140 for 3 shots, and Marchessault point at -125. But yeah, I think we can keep this thing going here. Mark Stone was -105 for a point in game one. He's now -120 for a point in game two. This will go away here very, very soon, especially if he gets a point tonight. We will maybe get to -145, and then we won't be able to bet it anymore. So let's take advantage of that. And then you mentioned Hurdle. It's just such a misprice for him to score. He said that his is the happiest he's ever been. He's been in Vegas for like a minute. He hadn't played playoff hockey in 5 years. He was the last one off the ice for Dallas or for Vegas in the warm-up. He's just having fun. He's plus money for a point tonight. I think I saw plus 110 for Tomas Hurdle for a point. Yeah, plus 110 DraftKings. He's -140 for 2 shots. Like
he's not 330 to score.
He's not playing for the San Jose Sharks. Vegas books are sleeping at the moment. So +3, what'd you say? Plus 330 for a goal. Check. 20-1 for a first goal. Why not throw a buck on that or something? He's plus 450 for a power play point. Guys, he's on the first power play with Stone and Eichel and Marchessault and Hanifin, who is
the number one most important part.
Plus 450 for a power play point. That's crazy talk. And he's plus 210 for an assist across the board. This guy is a really good value, So, all right, that's it. We got a lot there. We'll recap here now. I'll recap now. Maybe we'll get you to recap their goal scorers and we'll get out of here. So for me, for the top game, Boston and Toronto, we got Matthews for 5 shots, Zach a point, Marchand point, DeBrusk point. I'll be looking at Max Domi there. I got to lean to the Bruins winning this hockey game. I like the over 5.5. I don't mind the juice. I don't care. It's -140, but you can get over plus money over 6.5 for Edmonton and LA. There's a lot that I like in this game. Kempe at 3 shots, 2-unit play for me. It's probably one of my favorite bets of the night. We'll ladder that up to 7 shots. We'll do the same thing with Zach Hyman, 4 shots plus money. We'll ladder him up to 7 shots. Take a little bit of juice on Victor Arvidsson for 3 shots. We'll take Vander Kane for 3 shots at plus money for Vander Kane. And I'm going to have some fun with some parlays. I'll include Fogel in there. 2 shots for Fiala and Bouchard. It's a lot of shooting, guys. So if you're subbed over at FTN, I'll have a couple different variations of some same game parlays here. And check out the one that I tweeted that we were just 1 shot away from 4K. Maybe we just come down off that a little bit. But if we get a double overtime game, a lot of these guys are going to hit in that game. Actually, you know what? My favorite play from all of tonight, I just want to hammer this home, is McDavid for 2 points. at minus 125. Connor McDavid, 2 points, but that's a given. I think you just blindly bet him for 2 points as long as it's anywhere in this minus 125 range moving forward. The Vegas and Dallas series, Jamie Benn for a point and 3 shots, Marchessault for a point and 3 shots, Stone for a point, Hurdle for a point, and I will lean with Wyatt Johnson for a point as well. And I think we'll see Dallas. I like Dallas to win the game tonight. I didn't mention this when we were breaking it down. I did kind of just gloss over that they were the better team, but they really were. In terms of shots, Vegas only had 13 at 5-5. So they didn't actually generate a whole lot at 5-5. It was mostly Dallas controlling the play and pace of play, but Vegas is still pretty solid up and down the ice. Defensively, they block everything, and when they get a power play, they seem to score. And I think that's the biggest thing when I look at Vegas. And I know we talked about it last year. Is all their defenders are like 6 foot whatever, and they block everything.
Yeah,
they just block every damn shot. So maybe be careful with some of the shot props, but I do like Jamie Benn. We'll toss over to you for some goals. Let's recap for what we got.
And all these odds, I mean, Chris said it before too, like check the prop shop. It's one of the coolest tools that we have. I live in Tennessee, so I only allowed to pick a couple things. So I use FanDuel because they often have the best odds. For me, that doesn't mean they're the best ones, so make sure you check that. Pasta, Marchand, Matthews, Marner, Eichel, Hurdle, Robertson, Ben, Kempe, Arvidsson, McDavid, Draisaitl. The crazy man bet of the night is Marchand, Hurdle, Ben, RV parlay. I put $5 on that. Could be 1,038. And I'm also going to parlay Marchand and Ben together. I think they both score tonight. $5 gives you like 65. So could cover all my maniac parlays throughout the year just on winning that bet. So let's go.
Love it. And this is the key, Hags, is the Oilers move the puck so well that I don't think the Kings can stop that. So they have to play shootout style to keep up. And it does reek to the over. Alternate 7.5. I dig that. Yeah, I mean, Edmonton's going to score. You can't stop them from scoring. Like they're going to get 3 or 4 themselves. And if the Kings can get a couple there, we do get to that over. This was the tweet at 425-1. It was Hyman 5 shots, Kempe 5 shots, Fiala, McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Trevor Moore, Evander Kane, all 3, and then Arvidsson at 4. And he was stuck on 3. That was a $10 bet that paid $4,260. A little bit greedy, but I kind of treat it like the ladder. I'll do that. I'll probably do that same thing again. And then come down. Maybe it's Arvidsson just 3, Hyman just 3. You know what I mean? Just come down on some of these guys, throw some 2s in there. But the value is with Fogle, Kane, Moore, Arvidsson. And the big guys, the big shooters here in this game, if you want to put anyone at 4 and 5, it is Hyman and it's Kempe. And the rest, I think, are all in play. Be careful of McDavid. But the rest are all in play. Kane, Fogle, Arvidsson, Fiala, Moore, all those guys. So I think what we saw in game 1 is something that we're going to see again. And we have a pretty good track record of these two teams playing in the playoffs. And it's been the same sort of deal. Lots of goals, a lot of shot attempts, lots of Kings have to open it up. You're dead on, Hegs, about that comment. Appreciate you guys. Hintz was quiet in the first one, game 1. He's on his sites tonight. Yeah, he's around minus 120 for a point. I was on that in game 1, didn't get it, but that's pretty good value for a guy that's playing, on the top line with Robertson on the first power play. I think we'll see a really, really strong effort from the Dallas Stars tonight. Like we've seen from some teams yesterday, trying to even up the series.
Yep.
A little bit more desperation on some of these teams. All right, good stuff, man. We still went long. We broke down the games, I think, pretty good though with the 3. We'll be back tomorrow. There's just a couple games tomorrow, so tomorrow's episode definitely will be a little bit shorter. Only 2 games to discuss tomorrow, but we'll be able to recap what we see tonight and maybe help you guys as we head into the weekend as well. Love it. Playoffs are here, and it's fantastic. Appreciate your support. Smash the like button, guys. Rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, and check out all the action over at ftnfantasy.com. We'll talk to you guys soon. From Eric Young, myself, Chris Meaney. Have a great night. Cheers.